people are wondering what the hell is going on. But what if I told you that the most dangerous thing is happening, but it's inside of your head? If you just think about it for a second, there's decades of silence on UFOs, and now suddenly the government is obsessed with talking about them. I want to show you exactly tonight what the plans and motivations are if this is being done on purpose. And then I want to walk you through a foolproof way on how to spot public manipulation. I'm also maybe going to talk about what to do if it's actually aliens. If you don't know, I'm the guy that trains psyops. I'm the person that teaches this kind of stuff to companies and stuff. So the government's kind of gone from decades of denial to throwing around terms like UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, in official hearings. Add to that this sudden rise in reports of drones all over the place, these weird sightings and emergency declarations that are going on, I think in New Jersey right now. And it feels like we're being prepped for something. But what are we being prepared for? So let's dig in. So why would this be happening right now? So we're going to go both sides. It's aliens, it's not aliens. Let's do both sides here. Most governments don't just usually open up about things like this without a reason. With all governments, when they start pushing a narrative, it's most often to serve a bigger agenda if this is deliberate. So here are three possible reasons I can think of why this might be happening. Number one, a distraction tactic. When huge issues are brewing, like economic instability, political unrest, global crises, somebody's done something bad and it's about to get in the news, governments usually and very often create some kind of distraction. So remember when the Pentagon released UFO footage in 2020? That conveniently happened during a global pandemic, this chaotic thing that was going on around the entire world that we all suffered through. Number two, using fear as a tool. So fear unites people. So if there is a threat big enough, and I want you to remember, if you're just listening to me right now, I'm sitting on your kitchen counter or something like that, and you're making dinner, I said the word threat with huge quotes around it. If there's a threat big enough, like UFOs, people are more likely to trust their leaders, give up freedoms, and rally behind whatever solution that they're offered. It's the same playbook used during the Cold War. This was called
This
the
guy's
Red Scare.
100%, guys.
For
This
that
is
reason.
Professor
Or
Gold.
post
Please
9
hit that
11 with
like
the
and
War on Terror
subscribe
and
if you
the
want me to
Patriot
follow
Act.
this. I'm going
And
to be
then number
releasing
three,
drone footage for Scotland
testing the
today.
waters. This goes back to
But this is crazy.
BC years. All three of these things go
This
back to the
happened. This has been
BC
going on
years.
for a
This
long
is not
time.
something that's original.
Aye.
So governments tend to test and gauge how people react. So if we accept UFOs as real and we don't freak out, that means we can kind of escalate the narrative without any pushback. So think of it like kind of a slow drip instead of pouring it all out at one time. And if you want to look back at some of these historical parallels, this is not the first time this has happened. There's just a few that come to mind right now. The first is the Gulf of Tonkin. This happened in 63 or 64.
You can check this out. It's all real.
The United States used extremely questionable reports of attacks on naval ships, which were not true,
Just
to justify escalating this Vietnam War. And then in 1962, we had this thing called Operation Northwoods. It's a declassified plan about the U.S. officials staging, quote, fake attacks, completely fake attacks, like blowing up planes with people in them to justify military actions against Cuba. And in the post 9/11, what I would call a fear campaign.
A disaster.
So after the attacks, governments push for these just sweeping changes like the Patriot Act, which expanded massive surveillance under the guise of terrorism. So if you just replace terrorism or communism with UFOs, you can start to see a pattern. So what might be happening? What might be happening right here? It might upset you. It might piss you off, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. So keep that in your back pocket for just a second. Number one, is a normalization phase. So just steadily leaking UFO footage, holding hearings, using all these terms like UAPs all the time. The government makes the idea of something out there seem reasonable. So this keeps people curious but not panicked. Curious but not panicked.
Panic creates
The second part of
hysteria
this is
and
setting the
maybe,
stage for a big reveal. And
which
I want you
means
to keep
something
that one
could
in
be
mind.
coming.
So at some point, we might see a more
Why would
dramatic
you start
event,
talking like what this
a
fella's saying?
giant UFO sighting over
They've
a
never
major
ever, they've
city,
always denied
or
UFO
footage
life
that
and
is just
saying, oh,
impossible
there's
to
nothing. Now they're
dismiss.
putting on
And you
TV.
could think giant holograms, giant drones, or other
This
advanced
fella's
tech, just
military. He knows
creating something
sun's
that you
coming. You
cannot
shouldn't
ignore.
trust banks
So number
because if the
3
bank
would be the
electricity
need for a
goes down,
savior. So once
how
the
would you get
threat
money? How would you deal? I've got
feels
gold
real enough,
nuggets.
governments
That way I can
or even
trade if
global
something
coalitions could
happens.
step in as these heroes. They
Just
might
in
call
case.
for increased defense
See?
budgets. Maybe all the governments in this area need to unite into one big government, maybe a global response team, and I say that with quotes around it, to handle this threat. So this could lead to giant power shifts and more control in fewer hands is kind of maybe the goal of that. And this, you could look this up. There was even a plan to stage a fake kind of alien invasion. This is on record, on paper, that there was a full government plan to make a fake alien invasion. But what could be next? What could be down the pipeline from right now? If we follow this theory to the logical next step here, here's what might happen. First would be escalating UFO reports. They expect a lot more sightings, near misses with airplanes, mysterious objects interfering with infrastructure like power grids or airports. It's going to feel real and urgent. The next would be a media blitz that would come after that.
They manipulate
so mainstream media will amplify the story. They're going to interview pilots. They're going to release grainy videos and have experts explain these things that are maybe defying physics. The goal, potentially, and I say all of this as a potential hypothetical, to make everybody believe this is a huge deal. Next would be a global event, and this could be something absolutely wild, like some kind of coordinated UFO appearance, maybe a simulated attack, or even some claim that we've made contact. And it doesn't have to be real, it just has to be believable enough. And of course, then we have a solution. So after the chaos, governments might roll out solutions like new defense initiatives, new military spending, government coalitions, governments kind of coming together, expanded surveillance maybe, and calls for like some international cooperation. All right. So why should we care? Even if all this theory sounds way the hell out there, the technologies exist to make all of it plausible. Plausible. So holograms, drones, AI, deep fakes are advanced enough to fool large populations. And historically, going back to the year 1 AD, governments have shown that they're not above manipulating fear to get what they want. So now we get to what do we do? What the hell do we do about this? Number one, stay frickin' critical. Do not take everything at face value. Always question why some stories are getting so much attention, and most importantly, who benefits from that story. And educate yourself. You need to look into historical precedents, maybe current technology. You could just use ChatGPT for a lot of this, and some government strategies. So the more you know, the harder it is for you to be manipulated. Focus on reality. So, of course, this is nothing but conjecture. I'm just sitting here at my house. We've got a bonfire going on outside. We're about to go sit outside for a little while
tips that you
and
should
just
be
enjoy
really
nature around a fire like our ancestors did.
Don't panic.
And
just think about what's getting told. Everything's manipulated.
About what's going on. So the sky's the limit.
And he's right.
This conjecture.
That guy that got killed, a senator or something in New York.
Every light in the sky is
and then this still comes out.
Stay very grounded in what's provable, and know that getting angry at things that are outside your control is stupid.
Pointless.
It's just like drinking acid. So here's how to spot a psyop. And I have never said this publicly before, but here is the step-by-step formula that will enable you to spot a psychological operation. Separating manipulation from genuine news is like kind of playing detective. So here's a few steps that will put you on top of everybody for being able to spot a psyop. Number one is analyze the source. Is the outlet known for credible reporting, or do they thrive in like sensationalism? So established outlets like Reuters, sometimes Wall Street Journal, they report facts
50
first,
caliber
and
machine
others
gun
are
on the wall
way into
behind them.
drama.
You see it, guys.
And psyops,
Black one.
psychological operations, extremely,
Obviously,
very
it's got
much
a
rely
descent.
on sensational headlines. If
Mind
you
hit
see
that like and
sensational
subscribe,
headlines,
guys.
you need to get the hell
Just
out.
to let me know that you.
This is on
I
all
woke
media,
back up, by the way.
both
I've been
sides of
on
the
a
aisle.
bad place as
There is
usual.
no aisle. If you
It's that time of the
hadn't
year,
got
guys.
that
It's
figured
not.
out already.
Sorry.
So next is who owns that platform
See,
that you're
this
looking
is what
at.
he's
So
explaining
media
it.
ties with pharmaceutical
This is what
companies,
you should
political entities,
look
defense
at.
contractors, defense
Defense.
contractors.
Working with
I dare you to look
pharmaceuticals.
that one up tonight.
Aye, look it up.
And so step two, question the timing. So you want to ask yourself, does the story that I'm looking at right now appear during a major crisis or scandal?
I've got
or
footage
upcoming
a drone
election,
up
maybe?
the mountains where I live, so I'm
Psyops
going to release
will
3
very
videos
often
of that in a wee
distract
bit.
from bigger issues, like UFO footage released during major policy debates
See,
or global
perfect
unrest.
timing.
Huge red flag.
Aye.
Next is to follow the narrative, and I promise you don't have to go do 5 hours of research to do it. You just ask yourself, are multiple outlets, this one question right here, are multiple outlets parroting the exact same language? If you see that shit going down, you need to be very terrified that something's going into your brain that doesn't belong there. So psyops use coordinated messaging to reinforce a narrative.
Muck your brain up, see how to
So
control
look for
humans.
phrases that feel copy and pasted, like unprecedented threat or undeniable evidence. Those little phrases, you're going to hear them. You will start to hear these everywhere you look. And the moment you hear copy paste phrases, that is a psyop. So step 4, look for emotional triggers. So all psyops thrive on pushing your buttons. Think about the FATE model, if you know what that is: focus, authority, drive, and emotion. So this is fear, anger, amazement. So if a story feels like it's designed, and I say the word designed with bold, underline, italics, if a story feels like it's designed to make you react emotionally, get out as fast, but don't even finish the story.
No.
Ask ChatGPT about what you're trying to figure out. So stories about UFOs emphasize unknown threats without any evidence. You should be pretty careful about that. And then just check the evidence. You ask yourself the question, are they providing evidence like document data, eyewitness accounts, or relying on anonymous sources and some vague claims? So if you ever hear the words, and I want you to burn these words into your head.
Sorry, guys.
I've never told anyone in my life how to expose a psyop. But if you do all of these at once, you will never be manipulated. This one question. With that stuff going on, I need to ask, is this going to expand government control or justify new laws? That one question. Will what I'm seeing expand government control or justify new laws? Okay. Analyze coverage patterns. So psyops all the time dominate the news cycle and they drown out other stories. Real news coexists with other reports. Let me say that again. Real news coexists with other reports about stuff that's going on. If one topic is everywhere, while major global events get completely ignored, you're in the middle of a psyop.
It's some media.
Next is look for follow-ups. This is
crucial, you know.
This is it. Real news evolves with new updates. Real news evolves with new updates.
every
Psyops
day.
fade once they've served their purpose.
Because it's
I'll say
fake.
that one more time
Why
if you're
would you
taking
keep
notes.
on trying to putting
Psyops
crap
will
up?
fade away when they have served their purpose. So as an example, if you see some inflated, sensational story that just vanishes after a week with no follow-up, that is called a distraction. It's called a distraction.
Unbelievable.
So finally is trust your gut.
I thought you
Does
guys
it
would
feel
like to see
scripted?
something like this.
Sometimes things feel just off, and I want you to trust your
Hit
instincts.
that like and
Back
subscribe
them up
if you
with
think
research
it's
if you want
actually
to.
good
So
media
what can you do?
to
Like, what the
watch
hell can
and
you
get
do
and
about all
tell.
this?
What can you do?
The most important thing that I could give you, and I had no idea that I was going to really be
I've
talking
always
about any
thought
of this,
about this Armageddon
but
shit. Excuse the
the
language.
most important thing is
Please hit that
cultivate
like and
critical thinking
subscribe.
skills. Learn to spot the propaganda. Go back through what I just talked about. The recording. Chris is going to make this recording available to everyone. I don't know how or where. We'll make it available to everybody here.
That's what I'm copying.
I don't care if you're an NCII plus or whatever. Look for patterns in how the media or the government communicates about things. Maybe UFOs. Do they spot or do they focus on fear? Or are they offering solutions that involve giving up freedom or increasing government power? So try to diversify all the places that you're getting news from.
What do they want, basically?
Try to block every single news provider that you can possibly think of and use AI to get your news. And tell AI to be concise and apolitical in its answer. It's the best way to do it. So I want you to memorize these 3 questions if you're taking notes. Number 1, who benefits from this narrative? Number 2, what evidence is being shown and is it verifiable? Number 3, why now? Why is it happening right now? Next is strengthen your psychological state. Recognize these fear tactics. Fear is the number 1 easiest way to control human beings. Governments use all kinds of stuff as a way to unite people under a single narrative. So stay calm. Question why you're being told to be afraid. Question why you're being told to be afraid. And this sounds like some bullshit trope you might see on some yoga instructor video, but mindfulness is one of the most powerful practices that you can start to adopt today. There's a million videos on it on YouTube.
Hitler came up
I'm not
with
going
it
to go
and he
into
was
how
bad,
to do it
he's
today.
not that.
It's
He
one of the most
manipulated
powerful things you
people
can
by
do just
using
in
words.
general for your success in your life.
The right
But it's
words
going to help
are
insulate you
dangerous.
from some of this stuff.
Fear
So just a few other ones.
is
Stay connected to
dangerous.
your community, not your online community. Get to know who your neighbors are. Get to know your neighbors. Walk across the street, know everybody that lives around you. Go introduce yourself if you haven't already. Your neighbors might be more important than you realize here if something goes down.
Exactly.
Build self-reliance as much as you possibly can.
Basically, get
Stay
ready,
grounded
guys.
in reality.
Just
Always
in
remind
case.
yourself that there's a lot of stuff going on, and through all this shit we've been through as a species, as a
There's a
country,
saying there's a nuclear warhead stolen and it's hidden in
usually just turn
America
out
and
okay
Jersey.
at the
That's
end.
why
It's
the
not that
drones
big
and
of a
that.
deal. And
That's
finally,
how the
just keep
drones
your
are a big
mindset
thing.
protected. The more people panic, the more easily
They're
governments
saying they're
can
trying
sweeping
to pick up gamma radiation,
control the
which is
nation. So practice a little bit of skepticism and help other people to stay calm. That's your job. If you remember, you are the one studying authority and confidence and leadership. That's your job to help people stay calm. So stay educated, but just balanced. So research topic, like if you want to learn about this stuff, go Google Project Bluebeam. It may keep you up all night, but
read up on that, guys. Hit that like and subscribe.
So fear-driven conspiracies can be just as manipulative as
any questions,
government
hit the
conspiracy.
thumbs up. I'll be releasing my
Finally,
videos shortly.
I wasn't going to say this because it sounds weird, but
just tell.
If there's a power outage, you have zero money if
There
you don't
you
have
go,
cash.
see.
So
You should
may want to keep some cash
keep
on hand
cash
if you
because then it
if you
can happen
afford
at any time.
So always think of, like, when governments propose solutions,
I've told my whole family
do they
this.
actually address
Have
the issue
gold, have
of
cash, have
freedoms or
something,
powers are being
because
taken in exchange,
systems, if
and
they all
is the
drop your
solution
internet, what would you
long-term
do?
or a convenient
You'd be
grab for
mucked.
power.
You'd be
So what if
everybody
it is
be
aliens?
up shit creek.
What the hell are we gonna do? Let's entertain the
There's
wild
not much we can
card
do.
here. What if it's aliens? Maybe we're finally ready to
Aye,
handle it, kind of.
maybe it's the next stage in
Maybe
evolution.
aliens showed up in
Maybe
the
they're
50s or
coming to sort the
60s.
planet.
They were like, oh, these people have
They
lost
maybe
their
come
minds.
to kick us off it because
Maybe
we
we're
made an
ready now.
asset.
Maybe we've hit some critical point
Tell
in
me what
history.
you
We're at
think
this weird
against this.
crossroads with
It goes a long way,
climate
guys.
change. We're
These mean a
exploring
lot.
Mars
Thank you for
finally.
your
Aliens are
likes
watching.
and
Maybe they're coming.
subscribers, guys.
Maybe we're pinging the radar.
Sorry,
We
I've
got all
not been
this
on
tech
radar.
and
It's just
stuff like
I'm
that,
trying to write
satellites out
books,
there.
too.
Maybe we just sent out
And
some
he's not
kind
a
of
go
weird ear
bipolar and
signal.
that, so it's no easy.
And maybe they've always been here, but they've just been waiting.
I see,
now
they've
we're
been
ready
watching
for
us,
level
maybe.
2,
Which
whatever
makes
that means.
sense, because in my hands, you're all
But here's
cultures.
why the timing
Or
feels
says
suspect.
they were drawn pictures.
Even if, let's just say, aliens are legit, there's
Exactly.
some little gray dudes that are going to pop out of a ship or something.
E.T.
If they're legit, the timing feels very convenient.
Aye, just when there's wars and
Why?
Trump getting
Well, because
shot and
governments
that.
love to frame everything in terms of fear and control. So if aliens are making contact, I want you to ask
That's
this.
the one thing
you're
I've
entertaining
had
this
for
concept,
100 years.
wouldn't you expect them to be advanced enough to know how incompetent the governments are in this world?
Aye, so why
So the
would you trust
information
them?
would not flow through the government.
No.
So instead, all the info does come through the government. So it feels like there's a layer
Filtered.
there. There's a layer. But
Hit
if it's
that
real,
like and
it's
subscribe,
not
guys,
just,
please.
oh cool, there's some aliens. It's about what happens next and who decides how the
Did
narrative
you,
unfolds. If this